everyone, and welcome to the undisputed heavyweight champion of the world show made for the fans by a fan. I'm your host, as always, Richard Tiemann, and this is the award-winning Fan Show. Hello, Antonio. Hello, Matt. Hello, all of you joining me. I am back from the 113, probably closer to like 118 degree heat. That was technically Glendale, Arizona, which is where the United Bowl Championship was held, and we are going to talk about that. We've got the recap, the reaction, and now the rumors moving forward to next season. We've got some breaking news already from earlier today, probably just about an hour ago. We'll cover that and also talk about what you guys have left to enjoy before the NFL season starts back up again. So I guess we might as well just go ahead and dive right into things with today's headlines. Headlines, of course, brought to you by Dynamite Enterprises. They want to customize your world, and they can do so in many ways. They can do business cards, they can do stickers, they can do mic flags, and they can do t-shirts, hats, banners, backdrops, tablecloths, trophies, plaques, and probably even socks and underpants. Don't mean to rhyme, but that just seemed like it was a good opportunity to do so. But yes, if you can dream it, they can do it. And Dynamite Enterprises will do it for you for a very reasonable and affordable price. I go through them for all of my stuff, and I am very satisfied with the product, and I would not do business with anybody else, except for Undisputed Belts, who was the official belt provider for this year's United Bowl MVP, or I guess I should say your Fan Show official player of the game. And go and visit dynamiteenterprises.com. Get a quote from Ethan at dynamiteenterprises.com. Check out the website, see what they've done. If they haven't done something you want them to do, then see if they'll do it for you. And Undisputed Belts can make you a belt for all of your belt needs, whether it's marketing, promotional, office pool, sibling rivalry, or fantasy season, which is coming up right around the corner. So hit them up, undisputedbelts.com, dynamiteenterprises.com. Two of my favorite fan show partners and sponsors, and it was another successful fan show tour. Like I said, the tour didn't go according to plan as far as stops, and I'm okay with that because we made up for it in other ways, obviously with the Fan Show Top 10, the Outstanding Players of the Week, and the Month. So it was great all around. Hello, Nigel Stevens. Hey, Joe, good to see you as well. John, awesome to have you. Hello, wife. It's good to have you as well. Fozzie is asleep over next to me again. I think he's planning his nap hour during when the show is live and happening. So I'm on to him. I see what he's doing. But I was in Phoenix, Glendale. It was hot, but it was a great time. It really was. And I ran into several Rattlers fans. I got to see Bill Skog. He's a great guy. Serena, she's a sweetheart. So is Teresa and Gary. Terrence also, I got to run into him. So I got to see the good Arizona fans and reminded me that they're not all bad, just the ones that seem to be on Facebook the most. And it's funny because the ones that I guess aren't the biggest fans of me or the Fan Show were very quiet when I was in attendance, but that's okay. That's perfectly fine. But I will say this. Let's go ahead and let's get this out in the open right now. Let me put something out there, put things in perspective for you. So we have crowned a new United Bowl champion, a champion of the Indoor Football League World, and that is the Sioux Falls Storm for an 11th time. That's right, 11. And they beat the Arizona Rattlers to spoil their perfect season in the last game. So 15-0 darn for the Arizona Rattlers. 56-53 is your final. There's a lot of controversy, obviously. Officiating's been pointed out and other things of that nature. And that's to be expected because championships are great. But what people forget is that only one team gets to win, and the other team, unfortunately, has to lose. You cannot have a tie in your championship, no matter how hard you may try to tie. There is no try. It's do or do not. And those are the famous words of Yoda, and he knows best. So let me just say this. For 16 weeks of the IFL season, fans of every other team not named the Arizona Rattlers have had to hear about how great the Arizona Rattlers are from most of their fans on Facebook and other social media. So I saw a few posts yesterday, so that's 2 days removed from the United Bowl, that are fans starting to say, okay, enough is enough. Like, we get it, we lost. Like, let's move on now. Here's the thing. 16 weeks of being told a certain team is the absolute best and shoving it in other teams' fans' faces, and you're tapping out after 2 days. That math doesn't add up. And in this league, with these kind of fans, that math is not going to add up for a while. There has to be a balancing of the scales. And I'm sorry that there's been like floodgates open and you're the center of it now, but we're talking a whole season. From the end of February to the beginning of July, it has been around one team, and it's very vocal fans. Yes, a few bad apples, but I'm just saying, like, in defense of literally every other fan base that I've seen throw shade towards Phoenix in the state of Arizona, we're talking a whole season's worth of built-up tension and frustration now is floodgates. And after 2 days, people are saying, okay, enough. I don't think that's going to be the case. I think it's probably going to be for a few more days before people are satisfied. But that's just me. Good to see you too, Joe. John's watching. You guys are more than welcome to chime in. This episode's really all about you. I do not have a special guest today. I will play back the interviews that I had with Todd Tryon, the owner of the Sioux Falls Storm, as well as the Fan Show's Outstanding Player of the Year, or Outstanding Player of the Game for the United Bowl, and that was Lorenzo Brown Jr., so those will be coming up later. But yes, just to clear things up and put things in perspective, fans are chiming in now because they've had to sit through and deal with it for an entire season. So I'm sorry, 2 days is probably not enough to meet that quota, quote-unquote quota. That's a tough one to say. So for those of you that are thinking that the worst is behind you, it probably is. But at the same time, there's still going to be a few more jabs, you know, and that's sports. That's football. That's competitive football. So Joe says, days? Try weeks. This is what I'm talking about. A full season. A full season of having to sit and hear it and deal with it, whether it's in this Facebook group or that Facebook group or on the YouTube comments or on this team's comments thread or on the league's comment threads. Like, it was everywhere. 2 days worth of throwing shade right back at you. I'm sorry, but I have no sympathy for you at this point, because although there are certain fans that are very pleasant, I got to see them again and hang out with them, and I love those guys to death, they are unfortunately not the only fans of that team, and there were some that were throwing some serious shade all season long. And I'm pretty sure they've probably deactivated their Facebook accounts at this point. But that's rivalry, man. That's sports. I don't know why this is humming, but it's humming. It's bugging me. Anyway, let's see. Nigel Stevens says, great football. Yes, I think it was one of the best United Bowls that I've seen. And it's weird because I say that every year, but I also mean that every year. Last year's Iowa Barnstormers win, that was an incredible finish. And I do need to throw this out there to the Sioux Falls Storm fans, that what you're hearing right now about the Arizona Rattlers and that was he offsides, was he not offsides for that onside kick attempt, is what we heard from you guys last year, as far as if a fan punched the ball out of the hands of the receiver on that last play of the game in the end zone. So, I mean, look, we all do it. We're all guilty of it. Am I wrong? Like, seriously, we all do it. All guilty of it. It's just, it seems a little sweeter when it's coming from you and not being thrown at you. And I think we can all agree on that. So moving forward, I think we're in for a few more days or weeks of some polite, hopefully hazing. Is it hazing? I don't think that's the right word, but just little friendly jabs. Hey, remember how you lost the United Bowl at home? Adam says, Adam reporting in from the great salt mines of Arizona. There's a lot of salt here. Dustin says, love seeing that Steamwheelers football. I don't know. I like it. It's a Kevin Stud Rudd football. First ever touchdown football that I've received. So, yes, it will stay there for a long time. Next to it is a shock banner. And then behind it is a Spokane Empire football signed by their whole team when they went and won the Intense Conference Championship and went on to the United Bowl. So I got a lot of really good stuff here. I need a bigger studio. We're going to need a bigger boat. Yeah, I need a bigger studio. Plain and simple. So rumors then. I guess breaking news and then the rumors. Breaking news, the Nebraska Danger are for sale. And, of course, those of us that have been around the league and the world of indoor football enough to know that this is not a good sign. Usually, if there is a transition of power, a shifting of ownership from one to another, they do it very quietly behind the scenes, and they announce who the new ownership is. They never put the team up for sale. So I would love to see them find a new suitor, a new buyer, and continue their football operations in 2020 because I think the best years of the IFL are yet to come. And I would certainly love Nebraska to be a part of that. There's good people there. They love their football too. But I got to say, one thing that blew my mind was that it took this long. And I'm not saying that they're a terrible organization or franchise. It's just I've been there, right? I went to Nebraska last year. I watched the broadcasts on YouTube. I look at the crowd. I look at, what's the numbers look like. Spokane had them beat just about in every aspect. I'd say marketing, attendance, just awareness. They had an actual fan club, and they would have tailgates and parties. And there was none of that in Nebraska. So business logic said that Spokane should still be going and that Nebraska should have been the one to be for sale and fold up shop a few years ago. But somehow Nebraska kept going, and that's the crazy world of indoor football. So I wish Nebraska the very best. I hope that you guys find an eligible buyer that suits your needs well, and you can continue to have great indoor football in Grand Island, Nebraska, because it would certainly be a shame if we lost you after all this time. They're kind of one of the staples of the league, much like Green Bay and Iowa. And Sioux Falls, of course. Let's see here. Adam says, also, I will admit I was wrong on my score prediction from my interview, and thank God I was. Devin says, the greatest foam finger ever goes to the Shock. Yes. And then Colin's watching, and Ken Walton is watching. Hey, what's up, Ken? My man, who's out on the suspension island, unfortunately. We hope to have you play again soon, though. I need to get an update from him on that. We'll also talk about the NAL in a little bit because the Sharks have clinched home field advantage throughout the postseason. And then the Carolina Cobras pitched another shutout. There have been 3 this year in the NAL, and they have been part of 2 of them. Or they have accounted for 2 of them, I should say. 53-56 was your final. And look, when I went on the 90-minute warning for the Arizona Rattlers, and even during my interview with NBC Sports Phoenix or Breakthrough Broadcasting Network with Dave Isaac and the crew, I said this game is going to come down for one of 2 things, and they're 2 completely different things for each team. For Arizona, it was special teams, and that was Jared Harrington, which we saw how great was he in that first half. And then he even had that clapback touchdown, that kick return. Deep, like he couldn't have been any deeper in that end zone when he took that thing to the house than he was. I mean, he would have had to have jumped backwards over the wall just to get this thing in order to be any further back. So he was incredible. In fact, he was my front runner for player of the game had Arizona won because he was that effective. Sioux Falls quit kicking to him after a while. They said, we're going to take him out of the game, and even if that means they're starting at the same spot each time, and that's good field position for Arizona, it's better if we do that than to risk him scoring 6 points in less than 5 seconds, because he is an animal. He is absolutely insane to watch. Such an honor to watch him in person, too. He was the first touchdown for Arizona. He leaped into the end zone. That was great. I got that one on video, posted it, tweeted it. But then for Sioux Falls, it was all about the defense. Can they stop Arizona, and could they create turnovers and opportunities for themselves? And they did. I said that's the only way they're going to win, because Arizona does not play from behind very well, and they didn't. So turnover, stop, or I think it was actually stop, then turnover, and that was it. And I said that's exactly what Sioux Falls needed to do. And the fact that they had a turnover of their own so early in the game, to see them not get rattled by that and to come out the second half and to have it be tit for tat, but then get those crucial plays when they needed to, that's the stuff of champions. And that's why they are your 2019 United Bowl champions, is because they didn't fold under pressure. And I don't think Arizona folded under pressure. They just didn't exploit the weakness of Sioux Falls, which, looking back, I don't know what that could have been other than special teams. But there was clock management. There was controlling the line of scrimmage. The play calling for the second half of the Arizona Rattlers was really questionable. Up in Media Row, we were all looking down, watching, going, what are they doing? Like, Brown had all day in the pocket, and he's just standing there, looking, waiting for his guy. And yeah, their DBs had been exploited earlier, which is probably why they abandoned the blitz. But I don't know if that was the smart play, because they needed to put pressure on Lorenzo Brown, because in that second half, man, he lit it up. I mean, over the course of the game, he was 15 and 19, 200 yards, 5 touchdowns, a rushing touchdown, and I think it was 5 touchdowns to 3 or 4 different receivers. I mean, the guy was locked in. There was no doubt that he was the player of the game after that, especially when they won. But him and Harrington were the difference makers, and those were the matchups that we were looking for, right? I said the matchup that we're excited about is Lorenzo Brown against the Arizona defense, but the matchup that's going to dictate who wins and who loses will be the Arizona offense and the Sioux Falls defense. So congratulations to Sioux Falls. And let's see here. Ken says Sioux Falls cheated. Get out of my comments with that nonsense, you fool. There's a great rant video from YouTube that I saw posted in a few groups today. Look, penalties-wise, officiating-wise, there's bad calls in every game, okay? And I know that bad calls or missed calls at the end of games really suck, but you can't leave it to the officials, especially in the championship game. And I know that, people are saying, well, tell that to Saints fans. Look, any competitive athlete or anybody that has been in a championship situation will tell you that you need to dictate your own outcome. You need to control your own destiny. You can't leave it in the hands of the officials. And yeah, there's some bad calls out there. Every game has them. Arizona had, I think, 7 penalties, and Sioux Falls had 6. So, I mean, really, are we going to get huffy over a 1 penalty difference? And yeah, you can say a majority of the bad calls went, the way of Sioux Falls, but I don't think that's enough to justify that the league needs to re-examine who it sent as an officiating crew. Now, I wasn't the biggest fan of that head referee. I had seen him in games for Green Bay, and I was like, who is this guy? But the league picked him. And for those saying that Sioux Falls paid off the refs or that the league wanted it Sioux Falls way, why? What benefit is there for the league to have Sioux Falls win as opposed to Arizona? I mean, that place was, in my mind, the standard of where indoor football should be as far as attendance. There's 3 teams in the league that should have that level of attendance and interaction in the IFL, and right now, really only Arizona does. But that's Arizona, Sioux Falls, and Iowa. I would say Green Bay, maybe, but that's just because they've been around a long time and they love their football. But you don't get that. You don't see that with every broadcast at every game, and that's what you need to have at more than just the championship. So that was careful observation. What do we got from Ken Walton here? Ken says, I'm just playing, in all honesty, Arizona played complacent the entire game. And I'm trying to read the rest of his comment, and I can't. Oh, complacent the entire game. They thought they had won it from the start. When they had that turnover deep in Sioux Falls territory, I thought it was over. I was like, Arizona needed that, and they got that. And that was the one thing Sioux Falls could not afford. I will admit I was a little bit nervous early because I said, man, that might be what changes this whole outcome. Because somebody said they didn't think that Sioux Falls could keep pace with Arizona in the second half. I said, I think they can. I just don't think they want to. I think they want to have it be where it's not chasing points, where it's not a tie, where it is tit for tat, and whoever maybe possesses the ball last is going to win. And if they can help it, they would be the team that would possess the ball last. And their clock management, their play calling was phenomenal that last, 6 minutes of the game. I mean, the clock is ticking, and I'm just like, I don't know if Arizona is going to get the ball back. And if they score on this drive, that's a 2-possession game, and I don't know if they're going to have enough time with an onside kick to get this thing back in their favor. Like, it was brilliant play calling. Props to Coach Curtis Riggs, who I tried to get on the show, and he's busy, but it's okay. Let's see. Joe says, keep your toes where they are supposed to be and you won't get penalized. That's coaching right there. That's very true, Joe. Thank you for that. In the AFL, Washington Valor clinched the fourth and final playoff spot, eliminating the Columbus Destroyers and the hopeful Atlantic City Blackjacks. So I feel that one. I'm sure Adam's happy that his Washington Valor are in the postseason. So your seeds are Albany, the Empire, and then Philadelphia, the Soul, Baltimore Brigade, and then the Washington Valor, if I recall correctly. And that will be your AFL postseason, and we'll have an AFL champion. And then for the NAL, it is the Sharks who have clinched a playoff spot, as well as a first round, or as well as hosting the postseason. And then Carolina has punched their ticket, and I think we're waiting for, New York, Columbus, and Massachusetts, but don't quote me on that. Massachusetts may have punched their ticket, and now we're waiting for the fourth and final. But yes, it was a very busy weekend, and I think the United Bowl was very well played, and I know that there's a lot of salty fans out there right now, and that's okay, because guess what? There's always next year. There is. What's the future of Kevin Guy? I said on NBC Sports Phoenix that if he won, he would probably retire and focus full-time on owning the Tucson Sugar Skulls. But I said, even if he lost, though, it might be one of those things where he decides to walk away. I don't know if falling one game shy of a perfect season is enough for a guy who really doesn't need that as any kind of validation for his career or legacy whatsoever is enough to come back and try to do it again, with the exception of even if they weren't undefeated next year, maybe he wants to go out on a high note as far as a championship. Maybe his performance and the officiating and the controversy is leaving enough of a bad taste in his mouth that he may not walk away just for that very reason. Because you can't expect the storybook ending for every player, for every team. Brett Favre did not retire on top, but it was damn near close to it. Like the Elways and the Mannings, they're an exception because the rule is that you usually will not win the last game that you play. You will not usually ride off into the sunset as a champion. They've created unrealistic expectations for the world of sports. I love WWE's rule that you can't win your last match. And I'll admit there's been moments where I'm like, he could have won, and it still would have been awesome to have him retire, but that's not my decision to make. So I do know players and coaches that have been ready to retire, but the last game, it wasn't just that they lost, it was how they lost, that they said, I can't walk away like that. And Brett Favre, his last throw as a Green Bay Packer was an interception that lost them that playoff game at home against the New York Giants. And that's pretty much why he decided to come back. But then he got to the NFC Championship game as a Viking against the Saints, and they had a hell of a performance. They came up short, and then he finally walked away. So if Kevin Guy came back to coach another season, I think it would be for that reason and that reason only. I think he's probably ready to go and manage and own full-time, but having the game end with all the issues that Arizona believes there were might be enough to get him to come back, and at least if he were to either not advance to the championship or get there and lose again, if it's a better loss, better circumstances, then he might. But I thought win or lose, this could be the last time we saw Coach Kevin Guy, which shout out to all of you guys that have taken the time to listen to that interview that I did with NBC Sports Phoenix. It was very unexpected. I had no idea that we were going to get that in-depth about me. I thought we were just going to talk all Arizona and Sioux Falls and the United Bowl. But then they asked if I could stick around. We talked even more about me in the show, and I've been wanting to do an interview like that for so long. It was so refreshing to actually get to tell that much of my story, and the response has been great from you guys that have listened. So thank you so much. You guys have been awesome. But yeah, that was a lot of fun. Doing the 90-minute warning with Peter Garbo and Les Skelton, that was a lot of fun too. And then to join the Silver Fox, Rich Rosty, in the broadcast booth at halftime, that was another honor as well. So I think for me, my Fan Show Tour 2019 finale couldn't have been better. I love everything that I got to do in a single day. I mean, my media day was packed, and then the media day before, that was pretty good also. So a great time for me. I'm very happy. I'm glad to be home. I'm going to take a few weeks off. We'll still do weekly BattleBots episodes, so I don't know, 2-3 weeks maybe. Maybe we'll start back up again in August. It's kind of the dead zone for football, as a lot of you know. But I just kind of want to focus strictly on school and enjoying what I've accomplished and seeing what the future holds. A lot of people have my contact information, my number. If you're ready to hire me, then let's do it. Shameless plug, but there's a lot of franchises out there I'd be honored to be a part of. Joe also says, with Nebraska now for sale, will merger talks start to heat up again, or is the IFL ready to full force with expansion? And please update on what teams are coming here. And then Dustin says he's trying to catch up on BattleBots. Good, because it's a great season of BattleBots. Joe, your question is a great one. I don't think merger talks will open up. Look, in order for merger talks with any other league, that includes the NAL and CIF, there's got to be a change, as far as management and ownership goes, because the only conflict is the egos. We all know that. There's too much money in too few places when it comes to these leagues. There's 10 teams and 10 owners, but only like 3 or 4 of them really have the decision-making power or ambition to make the decisions and the moves that need to be made. And for every one of them, there is one of them or 2 of them in the CIF and in the NAL. And I'm not saying that they're good or bad. I'm just saying that there's that saying, too many chefs in the kitchen, and that is exactly what you're looking at right now. So IFL, in my opinion, from what I heard over the weekend, they will focus strictly on expansion, and that is whether it's getting teams from other leagues that are willing to not commit to that current league for another season, like we saw with the Steamwheelers and the Bucks, and the expansion as far as all new teams or resurrecting teams. Spokane is very much happening, at least from everything that I've heard and what I've been told. I do know who the new ownership is, and although it wasn't announced at the United Bowl, I think it's going to be a great thing for Spokane. And they are, I think, going to be responsible for more than just Spokane. So I was told Oakland, Spokane, and Billings were confirmed, but that's the only thing I've heard about Billings. So that's probably the biggest question mark. Who I heard it from is a very reliable source, but I don't know if who they heard it from is the most reliable source. It's a game of telephone when it comes to the rumor mill roundup and the offseason speculation. When it comes to their goal, as I posted earlier today on my personal page, their goal is to expand in the Northwest because obviously the NAL has the East Coast on lockdown. So whatever teams they could entice over from the CIF, maybe the NAL, they will do so. But they want to reestablish a presence in the Pacific Northwest, and that would be Spokane, Billings, maybe Portland, and maybe Salt Lake. Because Spokane is a great market and a great franchise, very storied and well-done franchise in the league. Everybody knows and loves Spokane. But there's quite the gap between Spokane and Sioux Falls and Spokane and Oakland. Well, what bridges that gap? Portland to the south, Billings to the east, and then, of course, Salt Lake to the southeast. But I don't know how many of those teams are ready to do this, so it might just be Spokane for a year and Oakland and them worrying about travel costs later. But if they can make Billings and Portland happen, then I think that they should, because those teams would be great. So you'd have the Midwest up to the Northwest. Great league, great map, great markup. You've got Tucson, San Diego, and you've got Oakland. So I think we're waiting to hear about the future of Cedar Rapids, if I'm not mistaken, or it's the future of San Diego. And let's see, we had Extreme Rules last night. WWE, Brock Lesnar's champion again, if you care. I don't. I thought that was funny, though. Very comical. John says, come to Sioux Falls. We'll see. I think obviously the Fan Show Tour needs to return to Sioux Falls because that was a lot of fun going there and being at the Denny. And if I'm Arizona, I wouldn't want to go back to Talking Stick. Gila Arena is a phenomenal arena. In fact, if I had to rank my experiences as far as game days, just for the quality of arena alone and what they provide for not only media but for the fan experience, I mean, it's Gila River, it's Wells Fargo, and then it's the Denny, and then I mean, we can look back. Spokane obviously was a great one. Green Bay, another great arena. But yeah, hands down, one of the best arenas and game day experiences I've been to. So props to them. I don't know where they're going to play next year or what the plan is for once the renovations at Talking Stick are done, but I wouldn't want to go back after that. That arena was good. But there's the curse. Am I right? Are they cursed at Gila Arena? Can they not win a championship if that is where the championship is played? I guess if you're an Arizona Rattlers fan, you're probably very much believing that it was Gila Arena that did you in along with the officiating. It's going to be a long off season. Let's see. Yeah, Antonio says Lesnar's a part-time. He's a part-timer. He is, and it sucks because WWE, I don't know how it is that they drop the ball so hard, but they really do. BattleBots had another great episode, which we'll talk about tomorrow night on that special. And then it is summer. It is July. It is hot, so I hope that you guys take my time off. Maybe for yourselves, go out. I've enjoyed some fishing lately, and that's been great because I normally miss out on the best fishing time of the year, doing the Fan Show Tour and bouncing around from place to place to place. I also think you guys need to take a look at the Austin Armadillos because that would be a great team to have, especially if the IFL were to get Amarillo, and then maybe Salina and Duke City. Those are the three names coming from the CIF that I've heard have the highest chance of joining the IFL next year. August is a big month for the IFL, which is why, if not sooner, I will make sure to be back with all new live episodes like this in August, because there's a big meeting happening at the beginning of August, and some potential owners and some owners that we already know will be in attendance, and that's when the IFL is going to start to make their decisions moving forward for 2020. So I think next year is probably going to be another great year for the IFL. This one was great, start to finish, top to bottom. Prove me wrong, because you had 10 teams, and although 3 only combined for, I think, 4 wins total, it was still a race to the finish because we didn't know if Nebraska, Tucson, or Quad Cities were going to be in the postseason until they were, and that was the last week of the regular season. Then we had great matchups, even one upset, and yes, Sioux Falls fans, I'm sorry, I will call that an upset, against Iowa to go to the championship. But hey, look, it paid off for you. You pulled off the biggest upset in recent memory, and that was delivering payback to the Arizona Rattlers, if you want to call it that. And can we just take a moment to appreciate that Coach Curtis Riggs was the single best moment of Media Day with his sense of humor is fantastic. And he's just, I don't know if witty is the right word, but he was just so on it. They asked if he felt that them going into Sioux Falls in 2017 and beating them and ending the streak of titles was motivation enough for them to come and basically try to return the favor. And he said, my guys, there's not a lot left from that team, but I can tell you that they need motivation to play teams like San Diego. They don't need motivation to play a team like Arizona. And I thought that was hilarious. Just there was 3 or 4 comments he made along those lines that were just absolutely priceless. So Coach Riggs was my highlight of Media Day, and it's why I am kicking myself that I couldn't get him on the show because of our schedules conflicting today. But hey, maybe when we come back after a mini staycation, because I'm not going anywhere. I'm just taking a break. So after my staycation, we'll see if Coach Riggs can come back. Congratulations to Kevin Thompson, who I know from CGS, who was part of that championship Sioux Falls team. He joined the team late, but he was very much a welcomed addition. He had a great performance in their playoff games as well as their home stretch of the regular season. Lorenzo White Jr., man, he was devastated last year losing that championship game, and he was such a key player for the Spokane Empire. Was very happy to see him get his. And then, of course, Lorenzo Brown Jr., your player of the game, your United Bowl MVP, for, even if he won't admit it, getting that monkey off of his back and finally getting a championship. Because you don't want to be the quarterback of a team that went to 3 straight and then lost 3 straight. You don't want that legacy. That's a Jim Kelly-like legacy, who will always be considered great, but not the greatest because they lost instead of won. In fact, I always ask, are we even talking about Tom Brady if Jim Kelly won even one of those 4 Super Bowls, let alone all 4? If a quarterback won 4 straight Super Bowls with the Buffalo Bills, one, they're probably not what we refer to as the Buffalo Bills today, but, I mean, would we be like, yeah, that's cute, Brady, but he did it 4 straight, and he didn't lose to Eli Manning or Nick Foles. It's what ifs. It's things like that. But I'm very happy we got to avoid that with Lorenzo Brown because he's a phenomenal player, and I'm extremely thrilled for him and his accomplishments. Hey, Ray. Hey, Dylan. Good to see you guys. And let's see. Chris Hill says, chances of a CIF team moving to the IFL, and if so, who do you think makes the move? Yeah, as I just mentioned a little earlier, I think the chances are very high. I'd say 85 to 90%. And no, not an inside the arena 85 to 90%, a real 85 to 90%. And that is teams like Salina, Amarillo, and Duke City. Those have been the talks of the potential movers all season long, and it's heated up since the conclusion of the regular season. So those are the teams I would keep an eye on. I think someone said maybe even Kansas City, but I don't know. Oklahoma got mentioned once, but I don't see that happening either. Joe says Zoe has 4 total rings now, I believe. 3 as a starting QB. 2-time MVP seems like a perfect way to ride off into the sunset if it's time, which I did ask him in that interview. I said, is this where we see you ride off into the sunset? He says he doesn't know because he still feels like he's playing at a competitive level. And maybe all we need to do, if you're Sioux Falls, to ensure that happens each year is sign a quarterback as the backup who's considered one of the greatest of all time, Chris Dixon. Maybe that's the fire that gets lit under the ass of Lorenzo Brown, and I'm just joshing him. But I think we saw a little bit of a different Lorenzo Brown when that transaction was made. Just saying, a little bit different Zoe out there. But yes, John says he has 4 rings now. So what are his other rings from, John? Because this is his first IFL title. I want to know what other teams and levels he's won championships at, because he did say that he's won championships, but this is his, I think, his first IFL title, which is why it was such a big deal for him. So I'm curious to hear your thoughts on that, and we're going to play that interview. Todd Tryon is a great owner. People should be lucky to have an owner like him, and I also think the same way about the Lambertis. I got to run into them at Media Day, and they were a hoot to talk to. They remembered me from last year when I was in Iowa for the championship. They bought Fan Show t-shirts, but they're great owners, and of course, Mr. Bland over in Quad City, another great owner. So there's some really great owners in this league. And I think Schertz is a great owner. He's just, I haven't interacted with him, but maybe a few seconds. I haven't, and that's fine. Let's see here. He said he won 2 as a QB for the Storm in 2015, 2016, and 1 as a wide receiver for the Storm. Okay. So I didn't know he went that far back. I thought this was his first IFL title, but which is weird because if that's the case, I don't know why there would be so much on him about losing 3 straight if he's already won. So I guess that's my bad. Maybe I should have done better research, and I didn't mean anything by it, but I still feel like it's, getting a monkey off your back if you've won 2 straight and people are starting to wonder if you're the guy now. Let's see. 3 as a QB for the Storm, 15, 16, and now 19. Yeah, we got it. He's won another one. Thank you. Thank you very much for that, John. And I think that's going to probably do it for this edition of the Fan Show. Like I said, it's been nice to come back. I wish we would have had a special guest for you, but it's been nice just to talk with you guys, interact. Obviously, there's been a lot of you tuning in, which is always fun. Tuesdays are great episodes. So I had a great time in Arizona. Thank you, Peter Garbo. I probably won't do Airbnbs again. I didn't have a terrible experience, but I was very spoiled all season long to have to stay not only in great hotels, but to have that stay covered by whoever I was working for, whether it was CGS, AFE, or staying at my place when I went to Quad City. You guys are great. But yeah, that commercial where they say don't ever fly first class because it ruins flying for you, it's absolutely 100% true. Don't ever stay in a fancy hotel, and don't ever fly first class because it will ruin traveling for you. Joe says, one final question. With Arizona not playing Iowa during the regular season, do you think the league will take a proactive approach to the 2020 season and not have teams play 4 times each year? I mean, I'd like them to. You'd think that would be an obvious decision for them moving forward as far as ensuring that the fans are getting the best quality product and that each team has equal share and shot at competing against all comers. But we've seen where teams don't meet at all, that we're scratching our heads going, why aren't those teams playing in the regular season, if not even just once? But I think for Iowa and Arizona, one matchup wouldn't have been enough. They, especially considering that it would have either had to been in Arizona or in Iowa. And if it was in Iowa, had Iowa beat Arizona, Rattlers fans would have been like, well, come and try that stuff in our house. And then there would have been that question mark. So it's like, you can never please everyone, but I think the league has motivation now to make sure that they construct the best quality schedule possible. We're not going to be able to avoid playing teams multiple times a year when it comes to the logistics of geography and who is where and what teams are closest. But obviously, the more teams that you get in your league and the more gaps you bridge as far as geographically, like I said, if we get Spokane, that's great. But there's still a gap between them and Oakland and them and Sioux Falls. If you add in Billings and Portland, now those matchups don't look so unrealistic because they're going to, okay, well, if we're going to go to Portland, then we might as well go to Oakland as well. If we're going to go to Billings, we might as well go to Sioux Falls. I would like to think that that's their mode of thinking moving forward, and that's motivation for them to make sure that these expansions happen. But I'm not in on those meetings. I couldn't even attend the awards banquet because I'm media and I'm not allowed. Even though I attended the NAL's awards banquet last year and I was media, but I did not attend as media. I was just there to drink and have a good time. And I didn't embarrass myself, so that's a bonus. And I had a great time with everybody. So it is what it is, which is why I made that post saying, yeah, if I got the Hall of Fame, that'd be great. I'd finally get into the awards banquet for once. I'm looking forward to the offseason. I'm looking forward to see what expansion happens where, and new coaches and ownership and all these announcements, because I think that this season was a preview, a teaser of the potential that we could see. When you continue to put out the best quality product, not only for your championship game, but also for a majority of the regular season, you're going to attract people that want to compete. Players want to play for teams in the IFL because they know that short of the AFL, CFL, and NFL, it is the best quality competition that they're going to see. Because you can have a highlight tape, but okay, who are your highlights against? Is it against teams that folded mid-season? Travel teams? Teams that nobody's even heard of that just had to go and get guys off the street to fill roster spots? Or was it against storied franchises that are known for excellence like Iowa, Arizona, Sioux Falls, even Green Bay, maybe Tucson now, and then Nebraska, may they rest in peace if that's the case. So the IFL has that going for them. They have the quality of product, and that's going to be huge moving forward because that's having a lot of weight in your corner to lean on. That's having a lot of ground to stand on. And I think they're in the control of negotiations. Antonio says, J-Hulk wants you to know that he saw you at the game on the YouTube broadcast. Yeah, I was kind of all over the place. That was a lot of fun. I hope he heard me on the broadcast when I was with Rich Rossi. I miss J-Hulk, and I think he's still one of the best super fans out there. So J-Hulk, you're awesome. Your interview with me is one of the best. And thank you for being you, J-Hulk. You're awesome. It's fans like him, let me just say this real quick before we replay those interviews and we wrap up here, that I love doing what I do, and I will be the eternal optimist for this league because of fans like J-Hulk. I wish I would have had parents like Antonio and Jen to get me dressed up and paint my face to take me to games as season ticket holders and just have that be a part of my growing up. I am envious of him, but I hope this league and his team succeeds so that he can continue to look forward to that each and every season and keep that tradition going on for his son or daughter or whatever. So J-Hulk is a little motivation for me to keep going doing what I'm doing, because I love seeing what the league provides a kid like him and a fan like him. And the Fan Show is for fans like J-Hulk. So J-Hulk, you are awesome, man. Please don't ever forget that you are one of the best fans out there, and keep doing what you're doing. And as far as being the eternal optimist and positive, there was a comment made in a forum that said when a video of mine, the interview with Mark Palmer, was shared, that said, avoid. The Cocalis wouldn't even give this guy the time of day a few years ago. The Fan Show wasn't crap a few years ago, and now look at where it is. So to that person, I say, what have you done lately? And that's all. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to play some fun stuff here from our time in Phoenix, and I hope you guys enjoy it. So go ahead and kick it over to Spreaker as we enjoy conversations, post-game comments from your Fan Show player of the game, Lorenzo Brown, and owner of the Sioux Falls Storm, Todd Tryon. Indoor Football League champions, the Sioux Falls Storm, and your outstanding player of the game presented by the Fan Show, Undisputed Belts, and Dynamite Enterprises, Lorenzo Brown. Man, I got to tell you, first off, congratulations. Secondly, my favorite player of all time, Steve Young of the 49ers, wore number 8. And he won a Super Bowl and said, somebody get this monkey off my back. Do you feel that way right now?
No, I mean, it's been a long 2 years. I mean, I've had championships before, so not monkey, just way to get stress relief, you know, because, I mean, I play this game. We have the goal every year to get to the championship game and win it. And, you know, last 2 years have been hell, you know, just the heartaches that we had and just dealing with it and all the sacrifice we put in, especially me, you know, with my kids, my work, and, you know, everything. But it's what you play the game, moments like this, and it's a hell of a feeling.
Now, you went out there and had an incredible performance against one of the league's best defenses. He could have it for a little bit. Against one of the league's best defenses, and you guys never lost your composure. Like, there was that turnover early, and I thought that whoever made the first turnover was probably going to be playing catch-up. And you guys did, but then you came back, got a turnover of your own, and then you controlled this game. What was Coach Riggs' message to you guys in the locker room and then to you in the huddle?
Yeah, I mean, we knew our game plan. We just needed to not fall behind the chains. We knew we could run the ball on them. That was never a problem when we run the ball, but what helped was our, you know, Jamel, thank you, baby. What was our Achilles heel was the mistakes, the turnovers, you know, the misexecution of plays or whatever the case is. We needed to be efficient at what we were doing. And, we got behind, but it really wasn't out in reach. They really weren't doing anything to stop us. We knew what they're going to do. They're going to blitz. They're going to play man, and we had to be perfect. I mean, you know, having Coach T and then even having Chris back helped me out. You know, get my first, get the ball in my hands quick and know where I'm going with the ball and just be efficient. Let the playmakers work for you, and that's what we try to do. We executed it, and you know, the proof is, you know, the championship. So that's what we got.
It got brought up at media day. You know, what would it be like to pretty much give Arizona a taste of their own medicine coming into their house and, you know, ruining their season and dethroning them? Even though they weren't last year's champion, it still had to linger because you were on that squad. You were a part of that team. So how does this win rank as far as your accomplishments as a professional player?
You know, I looked at a TV copy of that last night, and just having them celebrate on my field, it just was it just hurt. And you know, they brought another thing up in media that they never won a championship at home. And I was like, they're not going to do it tonight. They're not about to do it tonight. And, you know, it was really fun. It was really good. Felt good.
So now looking forward to obviously a celebration and some time off. Oh, yeah. I mean, is this where you ride off into the sunset, or have you given that much thought?
You know, I don't know, honestly. Football is tough, mentally, physically, emotionally. And, you know, I'm a champ. I'm a world champ now again. And I think I'm still playing this game at a high level, Rich. I mean, you know, I'm a competitor. I'm a warrior. if I'm going to play, if I'm going to be out there, I'm going to be all out. I'm going to give my all. And we'll see. I got a lot of things to think about. My girls are getting older, so we'll see what happens. But if it is, I've had a hell of a run. But, I still got something. I think I got a little juice left, so we'll see what happens, though.
Well, whatever you decide to do, it has been an honor and a privilege to see you play. I've made a few stops in Sioux Falls, and for you to come out here and do this in this environment tonight, it was one of the...
Speaking of that, too, what an incredible atmosphere it was tonight. I mean,
hostile territory.
It was great, though. I mean, I love that. I mean, honestly, I love playing on the road because, you got 15, 16, 17,000 screaming fans at you. And when you score, you just hear the hush. And, it just feels great. It's unbelievable. And Arizona knows how to host a game, I tell you that. Yeah. From their top office to the fans, everything. First-class organization, and it was great. I mean, I love coming here and playing.
Well, hey, man, congratulations. It's been a pleasure. It really has.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Hey,
we bringing that home, baby. It's coming right back where it belongs.
He is Lorenzo Brown, your fan show player of the game.
Oh, yeah. Hey, Ma, Dad, I love you. Kenna, Jay, love you. Abby, I love you. Hey, we going to party, baby.
Thanks, Lorenzo.
You gotta be kidding me!
All right, and it looks like I misplaced the Todd Tryon interview, but you guys can go and see that at the show's Facebook page, the YouTube channel, and of course the link is available on Twitter, which don't forget, follow us on Twitter at Fan Show Official. Then there is the Instagram, The Fan Show. Then there is the Facebook page, which is where a majority of the action and the content is posted. We try to keep it pretty balanced, but obviously Facebook gives you a little bit more content that you can post, and that is facebook.com/fanshowofficial. You'll find links to the YouTube channel all over the place, and that is where a majority of our video content is as well. If you ever miss a live episode or a new episode, do not worry. We've got you covered on multiple platforms. We broadcast live from Spreaker.com, and you can download and subscribe to iTunes, Spotify, SoundCloud, and iHeartRadio. So until next time, ladies and gentlemen, remember, it's not official unless it's Fan Show Official, and we are officially out of here. Staycation begins now. Best of luck to you and yours, though. And remember, it's all fun and games until you butt fumble. Good night, folks.
Do you remember the time that Mark Sanchez ran into his player's butt? That was funny sports.
Thank you for having me on the show, man. I love the Fan Show.